So there's been a lot of change in the Overwatch scene over the past couple of years, especially with the balance of power from region to region, and it's kind of apexed in the gauntlet of the end of last year, where we saw for the first time the Chinese region beat the Korean region in Asia, which is unheard of, absolutely unheard of when it comes to Overwatch. Korea has been so dominant for so long, and it could also almost herald a change in direction for the entire of Overwatch Esports. Could it be that China becomes the dominant power in Overwatch Esports, not just in contenders, but across the board? There is evidence of this in the Overwatch League, and that's what we're going to look into in this video. Over the past few years, we have seen China get better and better and better. The first inkling of this was the World Cup, when they started to do much better than they had previously done, reaching, I believe, second place in one of the more recent World Cups in our history. And it's shown that China does have a lot of power, especially when China's always been a place to play a lot of off-meta stuff. They used to play a lot of McCree, when McCree used to be like one of the worst DPS in the game. He hasn't been that for a long while now, but he used to play a lot of McCree. And they tend to play a lot of off-meta, hence the Among Ball came from there, because they were more inclined to play the Wrecking Ball at an earlier stage. You're much more likely to see wacky stuff in China. And it was always in its own meta bubble for a long time, in the early days of the Overwatch League and before that, because they never really played outside of China. But now we're in a different time. We have the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League started off with one Chinese team. It started off with the Shanghai Dragons. Now we look at an Overwatch League with the Shanghai Dragons, the Guangzhou Charge, the Hangzhou Spark, the Chengdu Hunters. And it's making the Overwatch League more noticeable in the Asian region, and especially in China. And it's drawing attention to a lot of the teams there. Now, obviously this has heralded a big uptake in Chinese talent coming through the system, and this has meant that the quality of the Overwatch contenders seen in China has improved. It's improved dramatically, and lately we have seen a lot of the Chinese contenders' top echelons be picked up by Overwatch League teams, whether it be the Hangzhou Spark or the Guangzhou Charge or the Chengdu Hunters. A lot of them have been picked up, and it is by the Chinese teams, because this is where they want to be. They want to be representing China at the very highest level of Overwatch. And so, we've seen, possibly for the first time in this off-season, the big teams in China, like Flag Gaming, like Team CC, they've been gutted by Overwatch League teams, which is what we're used to seeing in Korea. We haven't seen it so much in Korea. OZ Gaming got gutted, and some of WGS Phoenix did, but not all of it. Runaway stayed intact, and teams like that. So we haven't seen a massive tear apart of the Korean region, but the very top of the Chinese region we have, by the Chinese forces in the Overwatch League. And it shows that a lot of these teams are now looking at it and saying, well, these guys are Overwatch League ready. They can compete at the highest level. Now, this has come with a big uptake in viewership in the Asia region, especially, yes, you guessed it, in China. China is possibly, I think it is the biggest fan base for the Overwatch League right now. It's a big testing time for the Overwatch League. Massively testing time, because it will have a very big impact in the direction in which the Overwatch League goes, in terms of team ownership and things like that. Most recently, we've seen the rumours surrounding the Los Angeles Valiant and their possible buyout by a Chinese owner. This again shows the Chinese interest in the Overwatch League. And it means that there's a lot of eyes on the Overwatch League, and a lot of the eyes on the Overwatch League right now are coming from Asia. And there is a certain amount of disenchantment from America, from Europe. A lot of teams, they're not ploughing money into it anymore. When you look at Cloud9 with London Spitfire, they're not ploughing money into it. They're withdrawing money, if anything. They're not piling out the big rosters like they were before. They're focused more on developing talent that they had previously at their academy teams, which is very, very interesting. And then when you look at other teams, Paris got into financial difficulties, but that's not necessarily their fault. There's not a lot of money being ploughed into the league. Not a lot. The only team you could say are plowing a good amount of money into it, or the two teams, are Dallas Fuel and the San Francisco Shock. And also, I suppose you can include the Philadelphia Fusion into this, although they haven't spent the money like they did last off-season. So you can include those. San Francisco Shock is an outlier because they do so well, so they're kind of self-running. Whereas a lot of the others will have to invest from their outward stocks, if you see what I mean. Envious? Yeah, they're kind of cool. They're building a brilliant roster. Well, on paper anyway. And so, yeah, they've put money into that. Envious does have money and they're willing to do that. But there are teams or orgs that have money that aren't investing in. They just aren't. Because there is a lot of just disenchantment from the NA side when it comes to the Overwatch League. It's not seen as profitable. It's not seen as a moneymaker. Most of the teams last year, most were likely in the red. Part of it because of COVID, obviously that's a big thing, but if you're not at homestands in this environment, you're not making money when it comes to Overwatch League teams, unless you're winning the goddamn tournament. So, yeah, and then we see China, and the massive increase in fan base, the massive increase in the interest in the Overwatch League, and in Overwatch in general. It is expanding at a hell of a rate in China. Like a massive rate. It is very popular. And so, it's getting the attention of people who want to invest in the league. Could we see, and this is the question it is time to ask, could we see more instances like the Valiant? Could we see the Valiant taken over, and then perhaps the Spitfire taken over because Cloud9 are not that interested in the Overwatch League anymore? Could we see more and more Chinese investment coming into the Overwatch League, taking over teams possibly when the Western side of it has kind of just got bored or doesn't see it as a viable option anymore and wants to offload teams? It is a distinct possibility, and therefore the Overwatch League becomes very Chinese-based. Is that a good move for the league? Who knows? Certainly not for its global branding, shall we say. It won't go down too well, but it is... The Valiant situation is a very controversial topic, and it is one that is far from over. Like, it's gone a little quiet recently, but it's still rumoured that Shax is leaving, KSP, or now Kai, is leaving, and so the Valiant is still in the midst of a very big, deep trouble, and the ending of it could be a very interesting look to see what happens to the Valiant long term. Will the Valiant be rebranded, such like that, and could it be a blueprint for other teams maybe, going further down the line? It depends on what the league do and what Overwatch does, because for a long time, there has been a decline in the Overwatch player base. There has been disenchantment with the game because it's not interesting to play anymore. And if people don't play the game, they're unlikely to watch the league, because if they don't play the game, they're not going to buy the league skins either. That's a source of revenue gone. And it all snowballs out of control. Now, the solution to this possibly is Overwatch 2, where you might see more NA investment coming into the league. The question is, we haven't seen any new teams in a while, have we? Well, that's partly due to COVID and the instability in the league. But when that comes back around, they originally wanted 24 teams in the league, so there's still room to grow. And when it does come back around, who will those new teams be? We've seen a lot of regions now. We've got only one Korean team. You'd think you'd have more, so maybe we get a Busan team or someone like that to go alongside Seoul. Would we see more like interesting regions, or would we see more from China? Now this would be a very interesting debate to have, because I reckon there's a lot of interest from China to make new Overwatch League teams. The question is, do you want half of the league to be Chinese and half of the league to be American, and then every single other region to be alienated? I don't think that's a great look for a worldwide global league. And so, it will ask a lot of questions of the Overwatch League organisers and John Spector. And it'll be interesting to see how they respond to this. Now, if I had my way to make it a global league, you have to start selling spots in the more, should we say, off regions. And what I mean by that is, would we see a Rio de Janeiro team? Would we see a Cape Town team? Would we see a Sydney team? Would we see there's a bunch of different places that you can go to. Like, you can go to Sweden, you can go to Berlin. That was rumored a long time ago, before Paris was made. So there's a lot of options. Would we see those off regions, or would the Overwatch League now concentrate on going where the money is? And if they do that, they will go to China, because that is where the money is for the Overwatch League right now. That is where the viewership is, that's where the fans are, that's where the peaks are, that's where the numbers are increasing exponentially. It is all in Asia and mostly China. And so, we're at a crossroads. When we come out of this COVID pandemic, when we go into more homestands, when they come back, where will the Overwatch League go as it expands? Will it go towards the money, or will it go to a fair global representation? That is the question that is coming up for the Overwatch League, and it will be very interesting to see what the answer is. That's not the end of the sentence that I wanted, but hey, I got it out in the end. I can't always talk properly. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to leave it here for this one. Lovely little debate to have. Fantastic support on the channel over the past few weeks or so. Like, some of the videos, they've been hitting crazy numbers. Really, really crazy numbers, and I can't thank you enough for the support on those videos, especially the previous Dallas video, which is just crazy. So, thank you to all the new subscribers as well. I am very, very much appreciative of it. If you want to keep up with me, there are links in the description below for my Discord server, my Twitter, my org, the Illusion Gaming org, and all of its socials as well. And also my Twitch. But I don't stream on there at the moment. I'm hoping to, one day, get back to doing that. And there may be a little of a surprise coming down the line to do with Illusion and me as well. But, for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you'd like to give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then!